Taiwan's COVID alerts go from a level 1 at the bottom all the way up to a level 4. Now, up until this week when we entered a level 2, we'd actually been below a level 2 ever since the pandemic eased here nearly a year ago.
Right. So what do all the different levels mean? Well, let's start with level 1. This alert starts when imported cases result in isolated community transmission.
So this is when people start wearing masks, when there are temperature checks, and of course social distancing goes into place. What about a level 2? At a level 2, we have locally transmitted cases with unknown sources.
Now, this is when a lot of events get canceled and people get fined for not wearing masks. And what about level 3? Well, we haven't experienced that yet in Taiwan. But this begins when there are 3 clusters in 1 week or 10 local cases from unknown sources in 1 day. This is when many non-essential businesses close down.
Now, at this point, you're going to have to wear a mask whenever you leave your home. And also the size of the interactions you can have is limited. So, for example, if you're outside, it's 10 or fewer people. For indoors, it's 5 or fewer people. Now, what about a level 4? A level 4 goes into effect when there's a spike in local cases. So that's basically a daily average of over 100 cases for the last 14 days, with at least half of them transmitted from unknown sources. And the result is lockdown.
So I would say Taiwan is actually really cautious in terms of its levels.
Absolutely, and that's actually what's kept Taiwan safe for so long. So I think a lot of people overseas are thinking, 16 local cases,
What's the big deal?
not a big deal. But that's actually why, we've been able to deal with it so successfully. Now, something that you're going to see is when you enter a lot of places, they're going to ask you for your name and your contact information, and that's going to help with contact tracing. But also, life is going to change in other ways. Here's a look at how.
New restrictions came into effect this week in Taiwan. That's in light of an increase in domestic COVID-19 cases with unknown sources. Indoor events are restricted to 100 people or less, and outdoor events will be capped at 500 until June 8th. Eating and drinking is now prohibited on trains, long-distance buses, ferries, and domestic flights. Health Minister Chen Shizhong says cinemas, indoor venues, and night markets must limit crowds and enforce social distancing. If that's not possible, operations will be suspended. Chen also said restaurants must enforce social distancing and cannot allow more than 100 customers at a time. Restrictions like these even apply to singing karaoke. Chen says it's best for everyone to wear a mask. Singing with a mask is not bad. It's doable, he says. People used to think it's difficult, but I've found that you can do it if the mic is sensitive enough. What about large-scale graduations? Schools will have to propose a disease prevention plan. Performances can also go ahead as long as social distancing guidelines are enforced. Major chain stores are also taking precautions. As people come in contact with a lot of surfaces at grocery stores, one local store is now offering single-use gloves for customers as they choose fruit and other items. Some stores are no longer offering taste tests, seating, or the use of restrooms. As for the working world, Minister Chen says that companies can continue normal operations as long as employees practice social distancing, wear masks, and monitor their health.